Welcome to episode 36 of the SomerKnits podcast. We're going to call this episode the I don't really have time to be doing this episode, so we're just going to see how far we get. And that'll be fine. I was just in the mood to chat, and I only have a little while before it's time to do the school run, so I just thought I'd hop on real quick and share some progress and projects. Absolutely zero projects in January, like big fat goose egg. I did, however, finish a project yesterday, so I have one finished object to share with you. Hopefully, I'm sitting on my bed, and hopefully I don't shake it too much and shake the camera too much. But the best light in the house was in this room at this moment, or the kitchen, but the kitchen's a disaster, and I didn't feel like cleaning it up first. Anyway, this is my only finished object this time, and it's a bunny. The pattern is from the book Last Minute Knitted Gifts, and this is for my cousin's baby shower that's later this month, and it's totally from stash yarn. I was super happy with it. It's so soft, but it is 100% wool yarn that I have used, and then a Surrey alpaca for the inside of the ears. And I went with a slightly darker instead of the light pink that they showed in the pattern, but I thought it went well with the vibe of the yarn. You can see, gosh, I'd have to look at my Ravelry project page now to remember what the yarn was. This was like deep stash, like, I don't know, pre-2010. So we'll just go with like 08, 09, somewhere in there. So it was good to use the yarn. It said it would take a bit more yardage than it really did to do the bunny. So I need to weigh the skeins. I think I have a bit less than half a skein of each left, but I could totally do another toy or a couple of kids' accessories with it. And I think that would work really well. So this is my little bunny. If you remember the school run hat that I did in December, that's for the same baby. So if I have the time and get ambitious, I may also do a blanket buddy from the book One Skein Wonders. I can't remember if it's from the first one or one of the sequels, but it's also a bunny, and so that would just be my bunny theme for the shower. I felt like this would last longer than a baby garment, even though baby garments are adorable. You know, I am working on bigger garments, and I just thought I would make something completely different. And I don't use my books as much as I should. I used to, before Ravelry and everything being downloadable and everything, I used books a lot more. So I just grabbed a book off the shelf and went for it. So this is my bunny, and that is my only finished object. I do, however, have some almost finished objects, or at least one. So let's get into those. Okay, this first work in progress is a whole vibe. I am in love with this knit, and I can't wait to finish it because I'm just totally feeling this look right now. I had the pleasure of test knitting the Eclair Sweater for Laura of Penrose Knits, and we'll see if I can get the whole thing in frame. I opted for the folded collar, and I've also opted for the tunic length with a split hem. So you can see I've split for the hem and done my... I didn't get that. Could you try again? Siri would like to participate in this podcast. I've split for the hem, and I'm working on the front, and I'm on the ribbing now. So I have 1 more inch of ribbing on the front body. And on the back body, I will then have, because I did 3 inches of patterning before the ribbing, I will do 5 inches to make it 2 inches longer, and then 2 inches of ribbing on the back side. You can see that I opted for bobbles on the front, and for comfort, not bobbles on the back. And you can see a couple of shadows on there. I learned the hard way to make sure your hands are really, really clean when you spit splice. And I'm hoping that I can wash those spots a little bit at blocking time. It's just some little gray shadows that appear on the back. So, yes, when working with white yarn, be very, very careful. Even when I thought my hands were totally clean, I got a little bit of shadowing at some of those joins. So hopefully I can block that out. If not, if it doesn't come out with soaking at blocking, then I am going to try to spot clean those areas with something a little bit stronger. But the front hem went so quickly that I have a feeling I can knock out the back hem or most of it, hopefully, over the weekend and get this blocking so that I can wear it. I went for the tunic length with the split hem, envisioning this with cozy leggings, or even like sleeker, dressier leggings for going out with friends. I went for classic white because I felt like it would go with everything. And I can see it at Christmas time with like metallic leggings and really excellent accessories. So I just really appreciate Laura asking me to do this test knit because it's the kind of pattern where I didn't want to put it down. I just wanted to keep going. I was worried I would feel bogged down by the cables, but I didn't. I felt invigorated, maybe. I really enjoyed not just the finished object, but the process of this knit. It is knit in Aran weight yarn, so even the sleeves, even though they're oversized, they went super quickly. I forget, I'm using the recommended needle size, I believe. So it just, the whole thing has gone so quickly. I cast it on January 1st, I believe. It was after the end of the year, so it was cast on in the new year, and I feel like for a tunic length cable knit sweater that barely over a month is a pretty good turnaround for somebody who mostly knits in the evenings and occasionally on the weekend, who has active kids and a job and everything else. Like, I just feel that this flew by. So super happy with this. Can't say enough good things about it. The release date has been announced. It is February 14th, so be on the lookout for that. She always puts, I say always, hopefully she will this time, puts the yardage requirements out ahead of time so that if you want to be ready to cast on release date, you know, based on your size, what yardage you need. I knit mine in the recommended yarn, which is the Filcolana Peruvian Highland Wool. And I'm keeping track of the number of balls. And I'm on, it's super affordable, by the way, or at least I found it to be affordable. I'm tangled in needles. I'm on ball number 12 of the white, and I bet that I need another ball, maybe a bit more, to finish the back hem, which totally brings me in a little bit under Laura's estimate, which is good. It's always better if a designer overestimates for a test knit instead of underestimates, because running out of yarn sucks. The yarn was from knit.co.uk, and it took me forever to decide on a color, and she was so helpful sending me photos like in natural light and stuff, and not just the photos on the website. And so I really, really appreciate Simone's help. It really helped me to pick, getting to see the actual photos of stuff lined up next to each other. I almost went for like a super light seafoam green, but I ended up going for classic white. This is the snow white, not the natural or whatever they call their. So yeah, snow white, and I just adore it, and I can't wait to actually wear it. We're doing good on time. Diving back into my book pattern stash, I pulled off the shelf the Big Book of Knitted Monsters. This is a book I've had for quite a while, but never actually got around to knitting a pattern from. Um, One of my cousin's children is about to turn 1, and I wanted to send a gift. And I made him a hat for Christmas, so I wanted to do something different. Not an accessory, not a whole sweater. So I decided to knit a monster. And I'm knitting the one that's called the Garage Monster, and they all have different names. I don't want to accidentally show you any of the pattern, but here's the picture. Where is he? That way. The camera is so backwards from me. The picture of the Garage Monster. He's super cute. His name is Geet, the Garage Monster. And once again, trying to use stash, went diving, and back in my old cotton stash, I had some Lion Brand Cotton Ease, which is actually a cotton acrylic blend, which makes this super washable for a kid's toy. Easy to care for. It doesn't pill. It's, I don't know, it's a good workhorse yarn if you need a cotton blend. So it's 50% cotton, 50% acrylic, and I know, it's a mess. It's a hot mess. But I had these 3 colors. Here, the light's better over here. I had these 3 colors sitting around. So I started the body in the brown. There we go. Let's catch some of that sunlight coming in the window. I started the body in the brown, and you pick up to finish the bottom of the body. So no sewing there, which is awesome. Might be sewing on the arms and legs later. I haven't gotten there. So instead of the arms and legs being the same color as the body like in the picture, I think I'm going to stripe them with these, or I'm going to do the arms and the legs in the green and the little ears, horns, antennae, whatever, in the blue. And I haven't quite decided yet, but this evening, unless I'm totally just distracted with this and can't bring myself to work on anything else, I will finish the bottom of the body because that won't take but a couple of minutes. Because I think you just pick up and do some decreases and then stuff it and then seal it off. And then the other pieces are made individually and stuffed and sealed off and then I think sewn to the body, but I'll have to double check that in the pattern. I don't always read ahead. Sometimes, is anybody else like this? Sometimes when I read a pattern, when I'm not knitting it, not physically knitting it, I'm just reading it like it's a sheet of paper with words on it. It sometimes just looks like gibberish. I can't just, and sometimes I can read it and picture it, but a lot of times, especially if there's a whole ton of different parts, I'll read it and it'll look like gibberish. But as soon as I'm holding knitting needles and I read it like one part at a time, everything makes total sense. Like there's no, and then I start to wonder why I thought it was gibberish in the first place. Maybe that's just my brain. So I didn't necessarily read ahead on the monster because I didn't figure there was going to be any at the same time. I do try and read ahead on like sweater patterns and stuff because sometimes there is a do this, and by the way, at the same time, do that. And that can be frustrating to me, but I do try and bear that in mind. I love the clever way of doing the monster's mouths here. Because sewing the faces on, like with the bunny, I probably re-sewed this face like 10, 15 times. I still don't like absolutely love it, but I'm good enough. I'm done with it. I'm not re-sewing it again. So that's Geet the Garage Monster in progress. And I'd like to have it in the mail by the end of next week at the latest. And the mom's birthday is right before the baby's. So I would also like to knit her a headband. And that should just be like a one evening project, I think. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I considered the school run headband, but I had asked her husband what her favorite color is, and he had picked a really deep green. I have a number of balls of this deep green Debbie Bliss Cashmerino Aran that is deep, deep stash, like early 2000s deep stash. And it's gorgeous. And it's so soft, and I think that it would be perfect, and I have plenty of it. And so I'm trying to find a worsted to Aran weight headband pattern with some kind of center feature, because she wears headbands like that a lot, like regular headbands. So I think like a warmth headband would be good. So if you have a suggestion, drop that in the comments, because I am looking for a worsted to Aran weight headband with some kind of a knot or some kind of feature thing on it. So open to suggestion. 2 more whips, and still, I think, doing well on time. That's good. So this is my temperature blanket, following the excavation blanket pattern, but going up significantly in needle size. I am using size 8 bamboo needles and worsted weight yarn. And you might notice I haven't quite finished January. I keep thinking I'm going to stop and work on this, and every time I do, a child needs something. So I have all my notes on my temperature blanket chart for every day, and it got cold this last week, so we're going to see the appearance of some new colors on here next time I show it. But for now, this is the right side. The wrong side is pretty too, but this is my temperature blanket, and I am still loving it. I'm excited for it to be a pretty big blanket. So you can see January isn't done, and this is the width right now. It still seems small, I know, but over time, it's going to get really big. And I think I'm going to love that. So I'm super excited to finally be doing this project, because as I've told you before, I thought about it for years and just never did it. So if there's something like that you just keep thinking about over and over and over again and just never get around to, just do it. Just take the plunge, dive in, and do it. And in my case, I did not regret it. I totally love it. I am so glad that instead of going with the traditional color scheme, I went and chose my own individual color scheme, because I feel like overall, I'll be happier with the pattern. I feel like if I'd gone with red for the super high temperatures, that I would not love the finished product, because Oklahoma gets really hot and stays really hot in the summer. So I think there's going to be a big section of those high temperature colors where there's just not much break from it. Like in the winter, we get a bit of variation, but in the summer, it gets hot and then it stays hot for a long time. Last one. I think. Yeah, last whip. I don't know that it's had a whole lot of growth since the last time I showed it, but I do spend time, a lot of days during Carline, at least putting a little bit of time into this. And this is my Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit in Knitpicks, Gloss Lace. It's a silk merino blend lace weight, and so there's no mohair in this version at all. So it's just going to be, it's so soft. I can't even tell you. I'm excited for this both because of the color, because it is an excellent color on me, but also just because of how it feels, and I can't wait to wear it. But, you know, it is tiny stitches. The needle size isn't super small, but you're using such small yarn that you're still getting small stitches. There's just so many of them in each round, and it's the kind of thing that I can get bored with really quickly because it's hard to see the growth, which is why I started occasionally, I took the last one off, putting a progress keeper on so that I can visualize how much length I've added so that it actually feels like progress is being made. But anyway, a little bit of progress on that. I know it's going to be a little while because I don't want it to be super cropped. I want it to be like a mid-length, not like long, just not like super cropped. It's still going to be, I don't know, maybe it'll fall within that cropped-ish realm. But I am looking forward to that one as a finished object. Okay, so in a Discord group I'm in, I wrote a whole post about Stash Down this morning, and that is still my goal, but I fell into an estate sale today. Oops. It was fun, and I made a new fiber friend, so that's very exciting. And in the It's a Small World theme of things, she actually went to high school with my husband, so that's hilarious. But I did get a few things. I only took a certain amount of cash with me. I only spent that certain amount of cash and no more. So I feel like I did fairly well, and got fairly good things for my money. I'm going to share them with you, and you will notice an overall color theme. So I got 3 large 8-ounce things. I mean, you can't really call it a hank. Maybe you can. It's not a skein. Anyway, it's fluff for spinning. It is 100% wool. It is very soft. There are little lighter sections that almost fade into lavender, but it is mostly this beautiful dark blue and just those tiny sections of light. So it should end up a nice speckle. Some of them have more than others, so I am going to be working all of these, like taking some from each one and working them all at the same time. But I feel like this could totally be a sweater spin, which would be my first sweater spin. Yeah. So that would take some commitment, and I have a hard time tearing myself away from knitting in order to spin. And so, I mean, it could be a hot minute, but all of these items are headed into quarantine after I finish filming because they came from an estate sale, and you just never know. So I will probably both quarantine them in the freezer for a while and put the flat rack in my dryer and high heat them for a while because I'm ultra uber paranoid. But anyway, you will notice that we're sticking with the same theme color-wise, but really, of all the things there, that's just what appealed to me. I'm hoping she put the tags in here. Oh, she did. Okay, good. She pulled them off to read them, but this stuff coming up is all mountain colors, and it is all the colorway Winter Sky, but it is 2 different bases. So the first one is Mountain Goat, which is 55% mohair and 45% wool, and it is 230 yards per skein. The skeins are approximately 100 grams, and we'll see if we can get the light to catch that. So it's blue with some deep, deep purple in it, and I'm hoping that you can see that a little bit. It's really soft. So I have 500 yards-ish. Not quite. I don't know. I don't know yet, but it could be paired with something else. I could do something with it on its own, but it's gorgeous. This is the same colorway. We'll see if we can get the light to catch this one in a totally different base. This is the Weaver's Wool Quarters, 100% worsted weight wool, 350 yards per skein. Huh. So I wonder if this is a worsted spun or a wool, whichever's the lighter spin. Because if it is worsted wool, but it's 350 yards for 100 grams, that does not math very well. So I'm going to have to look this up on the Mountain Colors website. But it's the same colorway. I wish I could really get that color for you. Okay. Well, maybe. It's really pretty. It's blue and purple. I love a good blue and purple. And then the only other thing I bought was 6 skeins of Rio de la Plata kettle dyed 100% new wool from Uruguay. And the color is blue ribbon, but it is a very royal purple. It is not blue, it is purple. Um, it is a worsted weight yarn. It is nubby enough you could almost call it a boucle, but really I think it's just the way it's spun. So I got 6 skeins of this thinking it would be a gorgeous sweater for my 11-year-old, for my daughter. So if you have worsted weight sweater patterns, either that go really small in the women's sizes or go up to a 12, 14 in kid sizes, I would happily take those. I love the nubby texture of it. I love the deep purple of it. I love that it's 100% wool. It does not say, and it says pure new wool, so it shouldn't be superwash. It should be non-superwash, I would think. But I'm also going to look this one up online and see if I can find any more information about it. But that was it. 6 skeins of that, and then 2 skeins each of the worsted wool quarters and the mountain goat. So some fun stuff there to play with, but all of it is getting stuffed into Ziploc baggies and heading into quarantine right now. 2 more acquisitions, actually. I did not cancel my Southern Skein subscription in time for the January box, so I did get January, and I'm not sad about it because I'm loving the colors. It is a DK yarn. I do wish I'd gotten it on the sock base because I do love the color, but I'm still trying to figure out, it's 231 yards per skein, and I have 2 of them, so I have 460 yards, and so I can pair it with something else and do something nice. Like, we'll see. I keep saying that I'm not going to do any more test knits, and I have things that I really want to knit, and I posted a make 9, but maybe I submitted my name for 2 more test knits today. So it's possible. With that yarn also came out, this was the project bag for the month, and the goodies. There's an enamel pin that says make, wear, mend. And there must have been a T and I already took it out. Sorry. A mold cranberry hand cream sample. And I believe this is a little garden snake stitch marker because he's got little eyes and he's coiled up. There's a little flower. So I needed to have canceled my subscription a little sooner, but I'm not sad that I didn't because I very much love the blue, the light blue with the pops of things, and I can't wait to see how that knits up. And as always, her DK weight yarn is so soft and so nice. It is a superwash yarn, but it's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, so it could even make a number of good socks, excellent hats, like a lot of options there because there's a reasonable amount of yardage. Okay, the last acquisition is not something that I bought myself. After my pug chihuahua, my 15-year-old doggy, passed, a good friend of mine, someone that I met the summer between 7th and 8th grade, while we were both taking classes at Truman State University in a summer program there. We have been pen pals and kept in touch ever since. So I'm not even going to do the math on how many years we've been writing each other. And sometimes it's more often and sometimes it's a little bit less often. But it's a long history of being friends. And we've gotten to see each other a few more times. We did a couple of summer programs together, and then we managed to meet up in California when I still lived out there. And we met up in London one summer. We were just both coincidentally there at the same time. So we've gotten to see each other a handful of times. And she's just always been somebody that I could tell anything to. And I can just put it all down on paper and pop it in the post. And I just love that. I love that we have that relationship and that longevity to our relationship. But when my dog passed, she sent me a skein of yarn and said, when I was feeling emotionally ready to pick a project and think about him, sorry, and, put all that love into a project that I could have for a long time. And that she had done something similar with a pet that she had lost. And in her case, she used a colorway that reminded her of the animal, but I would not necessarily wear anything tan. So she sent me this skein of even tinier Annapurna, naturally dyed fiber and yarn from a verb for keeping warm. The color is indigo blue sky because she knows my colors, and it was made on 8/31/22, dyed with indigo. It is 80% merino and 20% cashmere. It's 565 yards, and I will probably do a beautiful lace shawl with this when I am ready for that. But clearly, just talking about it, I am not quite there yet, but I wish I could show you the color a little better. That's maybe a bit better. It's blowing out, and not like in a lighter way, like in a, maybe there's just not enough lighting kind of way. But that was a really special gift to receive, and it means a lot. And I know she watches the podcast, so I want to say a big thank you. She knows who she is. And I love it, and it's so soft, and I've been keeping it in my bedroom where I can look at it. Most of my yarn is up in my craft room, but I've been keeping this one on a little table in my bedroom, and at some point I will pick the perfect pattern for it. But I'm really thinking, I've been really wanting to make a lovely lace evening shawl and maybe even add beading. If you watch Amy Palco, her most recent Stephen West shawl, she added beads to the bottom, which gives it weight but also sparkle and glamour, and I love that idea. And so like that's a possibility. Maybe not that same pattern, but just like adding beads down to the border, not to the whole thing. That's a lot of work. But anyway, this is my yarn from a verb for keeping warm, and it's very special. Okay, 5 minutes left until it's time to run out the door to get my kids, so let's do the wrap up. I totally failed to talk about what I'm wearing in the beginning, and if you've been around a while, you've seen it before. This is my 4th love note, only the 2nd one I made for myself. This is using a wool silk blend that I picked up at Fiber Christmas in July this summer, and I absolutely love it. It is still cool outside. We had a very snowy, icy week, but the kids are all back at school, and I just wanted something like warm but not overheating. I've been wearing my really toasty wool sweaters all week, but the sun is out and coming in the windows, and the house is heating up, so I went for short sleeves today. I love it. I do find myself tugging the neck down and wishing there were short rows in the back. But other than that, I love how floaty it is. I love how shiny it is in person. The silk really makes the yarn beautiful. And this pattern just goes so quickly. So if Professor Pearl does another Love Note Love Knit Along next fall, I will probably do another Love Note, whether it's for me or someone else. We'll see. My daughter still fits her. It is starting to get more towards the intended fit where it's getting a little more cropped, but I believe it still goes past the waistband of her jeans at this point. But she could always use another one, or I could knit one for like a baby. Like I have cousins who are having babies, and that could be fun. So we'll see. But that is all about that. There was something else I was going to say, but I don't remember. Oh, I posted my swatch for the Let's Lento Cal in my stories one day, and I do absolutely intend to cast on for the Lento as soon as I have bound off the very last stitch and woven in all the ends. I'm making that caveat, and woven in the ends on my Eclair sweater. The Lento is going to be my real quick palette cleanser, and then we'll see if I get chosen for the 2 test knits that I've put my name in for. I believe it will be fine to do them simultaneously. They both have very reasonable deadlines, and only one would be an adult size garment, the other would be a child size garment. And and like one of them doesn't even have sleeves, so there is that. That really helps in speeding things up, not having sleeves. So I could definitely, I have stash for those though if I get chosen. Like, I'm not going to have to go shopping for anything. So that's kind of exciting, is that I could totally use stash for both those test knits. So I know I had acquisitions this time. The goal is not to have any acquisitions next time, to only actually shop for yarn if we are traveling, because I'm not going to stop myself from buying souvenir yarn, but I am going to try and limit my yarn purchasing, especially my super big sweater quantities, because I have a number of them and I need to use them. So I want to start on the Lento. If I get chosen for the other 2 test knits, those will be my next cast-ons. Otherwise, I'm swatching for the Trinigan, and that will be up next. So stay tuned to see how all that goes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I believe that this is going to end up being a shorter episode, and that's all right. Variety is the spice of life, right? So I do not know when I'll get it edited and put up. Today is Friday, February 3rd. It could take me all weekend between kid activities, because we do have a number of things going on this weekend. But hopefully I can get it edited and up fairly soon, because I want you all to see that Eclair before the pattern actually comes out, and be as excited about it as I am. If you are not familiar with Laura of Penrose Knits, you need to check out her podcast. Follow her on Instagram. She's awesome. Such a kind person and such an excellent designer. So anyway, I need to get going. I need to go grab my kids. Take care, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you got anything out of this video, please give the video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. It means the world to me, and it does help me increase my reach. Share this video with friends who may appreciate it as well, and have a wonderful day.